All right, welcome back, folks, to Hashtag AskGSM here today, episode 190 for July 20th, 2017. You guys are getting an extra awesome special here today. So I had Jason on last week, and it's very rare I have guests on week to week. And I literally texted this individual a couple days ago saying, hey, we're hanging on Thursday/Wednesday night. Do you want to do Hashtag? He said, absolutely. It's been way too long. And he's right. It's been since January. So 7 months overdue. Just about 6 months, 7 months. Way overdue. Very happy to have him back here on the show. And the best part about this is, I just counted the other day, the 8th time he's been here on Hashtag. Made his debut in August of 2014. This is his 8th time here on the show. More than anyone else combined. That's a lot. That's quite a bit. Always awesome to have him on. Please welcome at this time, John Knapp. John, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Do I get like a title or something?
I think you should. I have the IC Championship. We'll rebrand it the Hashtag Championship.
I definitely need a strap, and I definitely deserve a push now since I'm back. But yeah, I'm very excited to be back on Hashtag. Love answering the questions.
Making a bigger, more anticipated return than Braun Strowman.
Oh, for sure.
And he's very much over, as you are, too. People love having you on.
And
so.
I'm not finished yet, so.
I'm not finished with you.
Yeah.
So we'll get right to it, guys. A lot of awesome questions from both last week and this week, some that carried over. If you want to send in a question, tweet me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. Leave a comment on the post. I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on Wednesdays, because we're recording this on Thursdays, so kind of switches. And also, last but not least, on this very video, drop a comment in the comment section down below. We'll include your question in next week's edition. So that being said, these following questions come from Brandon A. from last week. He sent them in too late, so probably not the best question to start off with, because neither of us are too knowledgeable about this one particular thing.
I hate being exposed.
Trust me, you're not the only one. Neither am I, but his question was, from YouTube, what are your thoughts on Kushida and Hiruma Takahashi from New Japan Pro Wrestling? I know you are not a huge watcher of New Japan, but I figure with Kushida being the Ring of Honor television champ and the relationship between New Japan Pro Wrestling and Ring of Honor, you may have seen both of these wrestlers at some point. In my opinion, from what I've seen of both guys, he's amazing, or both guys are amazing, and I never hear people talk ill about them, instead only mentioning guys like Ospreay, or talking about them rather, only mentioning guys like Will Ospreay, Marty Scurll, Ricochet, Zack Sabre Jr., and other cruiserweight/super junior heavyweights. So have you heard of them, John?
I can't even pretend to be knowledgeable on this question, man. But, I mean, we were talking about the New Japan stuff last night, and off air, not on any recorded platform. But we're just talking about how great of a time it is in the pro wrestling industry that, you know, New Japan's doing so well, especially after their Long Beach shows, which I didn't get a chance to catch, but I heard great things about. And we were mentioning last night that really this is the most territorial wrestling has been in a long time. And not even just at the low indie level, but even like in major markets for people to find work. Like we're talking about WWE, ROH, New Japan, even GFW. So, I mean, I'm really happy that New Japan is experiencing all the success that it is, because I want the industry to be, you know, wider, you know, more places to work. It means, you know, more popularity for professional wrestling, different styles to enjoy. You know, if you don't like WWE, go watch New Japan. Don't like New Japan, go watch ROH. So I'm all for that kind of stuff. And like I said, I've actually never seen any content from New Japan, but I've heard great things. So I'm all for them continuing their success.
You're not alone. I've only seen a few shows. I did watch most of night one of that Long Beach show that you were alluding to. I saw Cody and Okada, and I saw a few other matches. I'm very familiar with Kushida just because he is, like you said, the Ring of Honor TV champ, and I've seen some of his matches in Ring of Honor New Japan. The guy is very good. I'm also a big fan of his, not a huge fan. Like, I don't know every match he's ever had, but I'm a big fan of his work, if only because he's influenced his work after Back to the Future. He wears the vest of Marty McFly. He does the hoverboard, I think is his submission finisher. So I think which is just an arm breaker or something like that. It's an arm bar. So I like the gimmick that he has. He's a great wrestler. I don't know too much of anything at all about Takahashi. I'm sure I've seen him at some point. But like John said, I very, very loosely, if at all, follow New Japan. I try to keep tabs on like Omega and Okada and shit. But beyond that, I'm not really all that familiar. But
yeah, Dave Meltzer's rolling his eyes right now.
Yeah, sorry about your 6 stars, Dave. I apologize. But yeah, no, not too familiar. But I know both guys are very, very good. Also, I'm an awful host. I should have mentioned this earlier. John, where can the people find you on Twitter?
Oh, of course. You can find me at @_John Knapp. @_John Knapp.
Follow him there, and also 2 quick disclaimers. My voice is shot right now, so I apologize for that being that way for the remainder of the video. But that goes into my second point. Quick plug, Wrestle Rant Radio up as I record this. It's already up, so check it out. Wrestle Rant Radio for July 20th right here on the website, nextairwrestling.net. John and I breaking down pretty much everything in the world of wrestling.
Yep.
Also talking SmackDown and Raw 2007 General Manager Mode in Part 1. Part 2 is up next week, so people can check that out. The second question, I know many people hate the fact that Enzo and Cass broke up early, but isn't it nice to see a feud where the heel isn't a cool heel and gets legitimately booed and the babyface gets legitimately cheered without all the smarky mark bullshit? Can you think of any other feuds going on in wrestling where traditional heel heat is going in both directions, is actually happening?
That's actually a very good question.
It is.
I can immediately think, just to answer the second part of that question, I can immediately think anything that The Miz does.
Agreed.
The Miz gets genuine heat because he's a genuinely good heel. He's always been a good heel. And I'd say for his stuff that he's been doing with Ambrose for the past couple months, Ambrose has been garnering a solid babyface reaction despite his character being somewhat boring, I would say. But Miz gets genuine heat, and now going back to the Enzo and Cass stuff, I did think it was early to break them up. I'm not mad that they did because I'd rather have them do something than nothing, right? Everyone seems to be in this state of catharsis in WWE, or we're just waiting for the next part-timer to come back and waiting for this next big match. Until then, just hold tight. So I'm glad they actually decided to get creative and do something. I wasn't expecting it to happen this early, and the only problem I have with this feud in terms of genuine heat going both ways, I'm really happy that Big Cass is not trying to be a cool heel. He's trying to, he's really embracing that heel mentality. But the thing is, what reason does the crowd have to cheer Enzo Amore? I mean, he's a lovable loser. He talks. I mean, I've even noticed because he's been ever since the split took place. He's been doing these extended promos. I mean, whether he's opening Raw or he's in the middle of the card with the promo segment. I mean, he's been going out there for 10 minutes, and he loses the crowd a lot. I mean, for what he comes up with great stuff, great content, but a lot of 5-6 minutes into his promo, he'll say stuff, and the crowd won't garner that big of a reaction. I think it just goes to show he's only good at talking, really, and even then, he can sometimes lose the crowd in what he does. And a more specific point, was it last week on Raw, I believe? Either that last week or the week before. But when Cass and Big Show went at it for the second time, Cass came down to step to Enzo, and Enzo ran out of the ring.
That was this week.
Yeah, he ran out of the ring like a little bitch heel.
Someone else asked about that. We'll get to that later on. But
so, I mean,
yeah, very weird.
And talking about genuine heel heat and a genuine babyface reaction. I mean, Enzo didn't really act like a standard babyface there. But like we talked about yesterday on Wrestle Rant Radio, I think that babyface and heels have dramatically changed in 2017. But Cass, I'm definitely all for him getting all his heat and doing everything he's doing.
Like you said, yeah, he's doing a good job of not being a cool heel. I completely agree with everything you just said, that I do think it was too early to break them up, but at least they're doing something now. I've been a big fan of Enzo's promo work always, but I think his recent promos have been very good. The one he cut on Raw was a little sketchy. Mm-hmm. And like you said, the fact he called out Big Cass and then he just left was weird. Again, we'll get to that later on. Someone else asked about that, but yeah, I can't think of any other feuds in WWE or really elsewhere where you're getting the traditional heat in both directions. The only one I wrote down here was Jinder and Orton.
Orton, yeah.
Just because, but the thing is with that, I mean, Big Cass and Enzo has been an infinitely better feud than that. I mean, that we'll get to as well with Orton and Mahal and the Bhumika Indian shit. But Orton does not do anything for me as a babyface.
Absolutely not.
Nor does he does for you as well. And Jinder says the same shit every single week in terms of his promos, and he gets booed because no one... I mean, I want to say no one likes him, which is true, but which is the whole point of being a heel, but... I don't know. Just that feud is not a great example, but I would absolutely say
it's because it's the same promo every time. He's getting
it's not the right type of heat.
No, what I'm saying is he's getting the traditional heel heat, but he's also getting the go away heat. Yeah, I don't care what you just get out of here. What you get with people who, I mean, in this stage of WWE with all the great talent we have in the roster, if you're someone like Jinder Mahal who's looking to get more heat on his character than he is, on his in-ring work, I mean, you're going to get that go-away heat. Jinder Mahal doesn't really do anything for me inside the ring. I haven't been completely disappointed with his championship reign.
Agreed.
Which we're getting a little bit off topic here, but I think that Jinder Mahal has a little bit of go-away heat. So that's not really traditional heat in that sense.
He's not really evolving as a character the way that he probably should have after winning the championship, but I would agree that Enzo and Cass is a prime example of where the heat is going, where it should be there. His third question here, speaking of New Japan, do you think Dolph Ziggler should leave WWE and go to Ring of Honor or New Japan Pro Wrestling and join the Bullet Club? I've said this for the last year now, probably for the past 2 years. I was at your house. I was in this very residence of yours 2 years ago. We were watching Raw when he came back. I think it was that Raw when he came back, and he was feuding with Rusev of all people.
Yeah.
That fucking sucked. And I have no idea why at that point, because that was when he initially resigned. It was in the summer of 2015. And a lot of people were wondering why, because the feud went nowhere.
Yeah.
It wasn't going anywhere at the point that he resigned. And it was pretty obvious they would do nothing with him. I mean, granted, he's won maybe an Intercontinental title in the past 2 years for a month or so. But that's it. So I'm not really sure why he resigned the first time, other than the fact that maybe it's for more money. I am more adamant now than I was 2 years ago about him leaving. And it's not because I hate Dolph Ziggler. It's gotten to the point where I don't care. I'm apathetic towards Dolph Ziggler. And I've gone on rant after rant after rant on this before on this very show. But I think a lot like Cody Rhodes. When he left, I love Cody Rhodes. When he left, it was like, whatever. Probably could have seen that coming. Because I wanted him to be successful elsewhere. He was going nowhere fast in WWE. I think Ziggler can be a prime example of a Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, Ziggler's been the type of character now that there's really nothing left for him, And I mean, you can try and reboot his career's popularity as much as you want, but I mean, they've stopped and started him so much that it's tough to hang on to someone like that. It's tough to still invest yourself emotionally in someone like that. So I think if he can rebrand himself in another promotion, go somewhere else. I think the biggest thing, I mean, to me, to a hardcore viewer, I don't know exactly what Dolph Ziggler's like as a person, but it seems like he's not having a lot of fun. I don't blame him if he isn't, because he's really just doing, Shawn Michaels ripoff, and I mean, he got that one win over AJ Styles. What was that? A couple weeks ago.
Yeah, right before Money in the Bank. Yeah.
So I mean, he's all right, but the thing is I think he seriously needs to rebrand himself somewhere else, because WWE isn't going to do it. And even if they did, even if they committed to him, let's say they put the WWE title on him tomorrow, no one's going to believe it. No one's going to buy into it.
It's damaged goods. It's exactly what he is. Emmanuel A., also from YouTube, as I'm typing this, it's July 17th, and I already know what you're thinking. Yes, it's a very historic date. It was a decade ago to this day that the Great Khali won the World Heavyweight Championship. What are your favorite matches and moments involving the Punjabi legend?
What a swerve.
And he's not wrong.
What a swerve.
He's not wrong.
That was the best thing I've ever heard.
That was great. That was pretty good. But it was they taped it on that day, not the day that it aired. So he's right. He is technically right. I would not, when I think July 17th, that's not the first thing I think.
No, absolutely not.
Obviously. We'll get to them momentarily.
That's the beauty of that question.
Yeah, that was why it was a great question. But, so basically this question is, favorite matches and moments involving the Punjabi legend, the Great Khali.
Yeah,
I feel like that's a satirical question.
It might be.
I really do think
it
is. Go ahead though. Do you have any favorite matches?
Favorite Great Khali match? I mean, I remember being in 4th grade. Here I am sitting here as a senior in college. But I remember being in 4th grade, Miss Hoffman's 4th grade class, and I wasn't yet a full-time professional wrestling fan, but my buddy Jason was. And he couldn't stop telling me about how The Undertaker got the crap kicked out of him on SmackDown. And I knew who The Undertaker was. I was like, who could do that? Who could kick the crap out of The Undertaker? And he's like, yeah, it's a 7-foot tall guy, Great Khali. And that was the first time I'd ever heard about him. And then I started watching shortly thereafter. And I mean, I guess that would be my favorite memory, even though I wasn't really... I mean, I don't really have any favorite Khali.
Who does, really?
Maybe his match at WrestleMania 23 against Kane.
Good God.
That was maybe the last time I took him seriously.
Yeah.
When John Cena...
The John Cena matches were probably the best matches he had in the entire company.
And I'd say that was the height of his career, honestly.
Yeah, it easily was.
Despite winning, he won the World Championship after the John Cena feud, right?
Like a month later, yeah.
So despite his World Championship win coming out, I mean, that was really random when that happened. But maybe it's John Cena, because I wasn't yet a John Cena hater back then. So I think that I was actually, kayfabe and all, I think I was actually concerned, like, how can John Cena beat this guy?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that was probably the last time Great Khali had an impact on my fandom.
I would agree. I would probably go with the Cena match from Extreme Rules or One Night Stand, whatever it was called back at that point in 2007, almost exactly a decade ago, right before he won the belt, like you said, against Cena Falls Kanini. That was a really good match. Beyond that, I could not name one Great Khali match that was just that great, that was anywhere near entertaining, or that I enjoyed. He was actually at Northeast Wrestling, by the way.
Was he?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure he...
Dang, I missed him.
Oh, he didn't go, yeah.
No, that was in like March
I'm
or
sure
something.
he did nothing.
Yeah, I'm sure he just walked out. Poor guy. Next question. My brother got into a bit of an argument. My brother and I got into a bit of an argument when we watched Styles and Cena from SummerSlam 2016, which we were there for, John.
Yes, sir.
And afterwards, he wanted to watch Punk and Cena from Money in the Bank 2011. When we finished the latter, though, he was unimpressed. Punk and Cena seemed slow and sloppy. After rewatching it, my brother went even as far as to say that it only got as much praise as it did at the time because people didn't want to admit that CM Punk's biggest match ever was mediocre. While I didn't necessarily agree, I do think it's a match that requires you to remember context. I think to appreciate Money in the Bank 2011, you have to take in the atmosphere and the unpredictability of that match and what big of a deal it was for that indie darling CM Punk to be promoted and positioned the way that he was. Mm-hmm. Because you got to remember whether or not the momentum of the pipe bomb declined over the following months. For that one night in Chicago, CM Punk was the star of the show. On July 17th, 2011, CM Punk was the biggest deal in WWE, if not the whole industry, and he was, I would agree. And in truth be told, I don't even think it's the best match that ever even had against each other. I do think it's a great match in the spectacle that it is. Do you think it's the story during the time that made Punk and Cena a great match?
Can I actually start this one off, Greg?
Go right ahead.
Really quick.
Well, by the way, I read this a couple days ago, and he sent in a shorter version. He actually messaged me on Twitter. He said, it's probably a little too long. I'm concerned. I don't know if you're going to answer it. And I said, I'm going to answer the whole thing. I like this question a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, because it's my favorite match of all time. But not only that, when I read this question and I knew I was having you on the show, because we talked about this a few years ago.
I was going to say, we have talked about
We have talked about this, and I love the fact that we have differing opinions on this topic. So, John, you started off.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in 100% agreement with everything that he said. I mean,
so you're the brother, and I'm Emmanuel.
Yeah, no,
here.
absolutely.
Okay.
I'm definitely the brother. I mean, so we're talking 2011 here, so there's no WWE Network. So I back then, I mean, this was even before, remember SummerSlam 2011 was actually when you and I started streaming pay-per-views online. Like,
yes.
And
it was right around that point in time.
And we would call each other while the pay-per-view was streaming and just talk about it while we were watching it. Mm-hmm. So Money in the Bank was the pay-per-view before SummerSlam that year, correct?
Yep.
They didn't have 2 pay-per-views a month, I'm remembering. And
yeah, just one.
So that was like before I even watched WWE pay-per-views. Like up until that point, up until SummerSlam 2011, I probably saw every WrestleMania until from when I started watching until then, and then I think Unforgiven 08. So I didn't watch WrestleManias. I didn't watch pay-per-views that often, and I was always the type of kid who after the pay-per-view I woke up at 8 a.m. before school, went on WWE.com to see who won. That was how I enjoyed pay-per-views. So I didn't see that match live, and I couldn't believe that when it happened. But with the advent of the network, I was able to go back and watch that match when I eventually did have the network, and I did not enjoy it as much as everyone else did. I thought exactly what Emmanuel's brother said. I thought it was very sloppy. I thought it was a very...
You said the exact... I thought you sent in this question for a second. Because you literally said the same exact thing to me. I couldn't believe it.
I thought it was a very sloppy match. And I think that really that match gets the benefit of the hype, the build.
The atmosphere?
The atmosphere. I mean, when CM Punk came out, I mean, he didn't have cult of personality back then, but...
Last night, using This Fire Burns.
Yeah.
Like Kill Switch Engage.
And I mean, the pop for CM Punk that night was unreal. So, and it was an electric environment. They teased the screw job at the end, and so I mean, there's a lot of good story elements in that match. A lot of great storytelling elements in that match. I mean, that's on the same level as like a Austin 316, pipe bomb in quotations. Like
really is, yeah.
I mean, that match is like a fixture in WWE history, but in terms of just pure wrestling, I didn't really enjoy the match. I thought they had a lot better matches. Specifically, Night of Champions 2012 I thought was better. I thought February 25, 2013 was their best match, and it was also their last match. But I thought they put on even SummerSlam 2011. I enjoyed that match far more. I mean, that was the really first time I started watching WWE pay-per-views.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed that match a lot more at the time than I did the Money in the Bank match.
No, it's so funny that he brings this up. The timing is perfect. I'm so glad to have you on for that question because I wanted to get your input because we talked about it years ago, like right around the network debuted. You texted me and like I couldn't believe it, and it's a great match. I don't know if I would go so far as to say it was mediocre. That's a little harsh. It's a great match, but when you really think about it, in ring wise here, story and everything, I could see it being considered 5 stars.
Yeah.
But when you consider the in ring work and you compare that to Okada Omega, which is 6 stars. And Meltzer very rarely gives up 5 stars.
Did he give Punk Cena 5 stars? Okay.
The only 5-star match in WWE. By the way, Michaels and Taker didn't get 5 stars.
I know, I have 4.5.
This did.
Yeah.
So keep that under consideration. It's one man's ratings, not really like it really means that much. It's one man's opinion. That's completely fine. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But he's absolutely right. You had to have watched it live to really appreciate it. If I didn't watch it live, a lot like you did, and watched it after the fact, I may not have fallen in love with it. Prime example here. I watch back, and maybe you can say this as well. Maybe you can agree to this. WrestleMania 17. Rock and Austin. It's a very good match. Not their best match. Far from their best match.
Probably their worst match.
Honestly, at WrestleMania, it really was. People rave about it as the greatest main event of all time. Probably people that watched it at the time, because at that point, Stone Cold going heel and joining up with McMahon was just epic and unpredictable and all this other shit, closing out one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time, which I'm not disputing. The main event I'm disputing now.
The in-ring work.
The in-ring work, anyway. So, again, it kind of goes along those same lines. I completely agree with what you're saying.
Harkening back to that match at WrestleMania 17, I mean, the story was there.
Yeah.
The build to that match, unlike Austin winning the Rumble, the sit-down interview with JR between Rock and Stone Cold, I need to beat Rock.
Well, the build was here too, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the build was there, the story was there. They even threw the Austin heel turn at the end. But, I mean, Austin won on chair shots. Austin won just by jabbing a chair into Rock's
multiple times.
Yeah, it was...
Atmosphere was the same thing too. Austin's hometown, Punk's hometown in Chicago. You know what I mean?
It was Austin's home state.
Not you know what I mean?
But also, Rock was on top of the world at around that time.
Yeah.
He was arguing with Stone Cold had just returned.
Yep.
Or earlier, later in 2000.
A couple months earlier, yeah.
A couple months earlier, and Rock was really riding his top babyface wave. And if you watch that match, Rock, they don't. They don't cheer Rock in that match. No. Even when Stone Cold turns heel, they boo the Rock.
They boo the Rock still.
So,
yeah.
But I would compare those matches actually. I mean, I wouldn't say Rock and Stone Cold were sloppy. I mean, that was more of a fight, whereas CM Punk was more of a wrestling match.
They were going for more match. Yeah.
Rock Austin was more of a fight. I mean, Rock got busted open, I believe. Stone Cold might have got busted open.
I'm sure he did, yeah.
And so that was more of a fight. The story was there. But the finish I just thought was sloppy, and of course, looking back, the McMahon-Austin rivalry alliance never really worked out. But at the time, that was probably huge.
Well, same thing with Punk winning the belt. I mean, the moment was amazing. The aftermath immediately afterwards was fine. Looking later down the line with Triple H beating the hottest guy in the company in the industry, as Emmanuel said, which I agree with, was stupid. It was dumb.
Yeah.
So I do agree.
No one's disputing that.
No, but I completely agree. I would not argue with someone a lot like John that says the match. I wouldn't say the match is terrible, but I do.
I don't believe the match is terrible.
Or mediocre. I would say it's great.
I think it's sloppy in ring, but I think it's a great match.
Yeah, it's a great match, and obviously, as you had said, too, even for that time, how many great matches were we getting?
In 2011,
really? No, we really weren't.
You're getting Sheamus, Randy Orton.
We had the WrestleMania main event of John Cena versus The Miz. It doesn't get much worse than that.
I mean, we talked about this last night. How CM Punk, Daniel Bryan really changed the culture in WWE. I mean, that's no secret, but I mean. Right around 2011, right around that time, that's when you're starting to see, let's change the style a little bit here. I mean, that match might be, the genesis of that even. But, yeah, I mean, that match is going to stand out in history, but I think it's a little more fondly remembered for the story rather than the in-ring work.
Next question from Elaine of the Y, also from YouTube. Have you ever noticed the way that Kurt Angle tries to say WWE in a single syllable?
Yes, I have. Specifically
on Raw this week,
Raw
too.
Past week,
I always notice that.
Yeah.
It's not even like Vince, where he just says, it just sounds like he's saying W-E. WWE.
Yeah.
Kurt Angle says it really fast. I don't know, the way that he speaks.
It makes me think about if maybe the drug use has anything to do with that. I'm not knocking Kurt Angle in any sense, or he's a hero. But
did he used to say that back in the day like that?
He was very well spoken.
And he still is, but just the way that he says WWE is
he
weird.
slurs a lot of. He's not. Back in like his prime, he was always a great talker. And whereas now I think he's a little more sloppy on the mic, I would say. But
yeah, I wonder not sure the reason.
I wonder if that has anything to do with either old age, just maybe not being around the product 100% of the time. He just got back, or just maybe the drug use that he was going through.
I'm
not knocking him whatsoever.
No.
I love Kurt Angle. But
yeah,
I would venture to say that there's a reason why he's not as crisp of a talker as he once was.
Interesting speculation. Second question of theirs. Speaking of pronunciation, have you ever noticed the way that Michael Cole says veteran as veteran or veteran? If you can look at that, it says they spelled it out VNNERN. Have you ever
A veteran?
Veteran. That's how he says it apparently. I didn't realize that. I picked up the angle thing, not this.
You just don't hear the T when he says it. Veteran.
Yeah, the way that he
sounds
says
like an N's in there. I say I'm a veteran.
Veteran.
Well, I guess veteran.
Veteran. Yeah, either way.
It depends where you're from, how you say it.
I think I take more exception to the fact that he says a WWE. The way that I think that pisses a lot of people off.
Michael Cole?
Michael Cole. The way that he says WWE instead of WWE.
I never even considered
That's
it.
like the broadcasting voice. I think you're supposed to say it like that in broadcasting, right? I mean, you would know.
Just be well spoken.
He's yeah.
Just enunciate every single syllable. Like I know for radio at school, we can't say WRG. We gotta say WRH.
Yeah, you have to say the whole thing.
You have to say the whole call sign. WRHU. We can't say WRG.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's the little things. Last question from them. On a more serious note, how do you feel about NXT TakeOver Brooklyn this year? I want to say NXT is getting its groove back, but I haven't noticed much buzz as of late. I completely agree. I mean, I'm looking forward to Brooklyn. It should be a great show. The last two shows were amazing. I'm sure this show will be no exception. We have yet to get a bad TakeOver show.
Absolutely.
And it's been like 3.5 years. So we won't, especially in Brooklyn. Like you said last night, that they should stay there forever. Regardless of where SummerSlam goes, that should be their WrestleMania in Brooklyn every year. Right now, I don't know too much about the card. I know McIntyre qualified last night. It's going to be McIntyre and Rude for the NXT Championship. It looks like they're setting up Asuka and Ember Moon 2.
Yep.
And Sanity and Authors of Pain, which I'm not too high on. The women's match should be good.
Is that 2 heels? 2 heels?
2 heels, which is a little weird.
Yeah.
Because DIY is done. TM61's going to be out a little longer.
I was wondering whatever happened to TM61.
One of them got hurt.
Okay.
So they've been out for like 4 or 5 months now. They should be back at some point, though. But we're still a month out. I mean, by this point, we kind of know what the card is, and people start to get hyped. And I'm still hyped regardless.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they'll confirm the card all at once, like in early August. But and they're also kind of setting up Andrade Cien Almas against No Way Jose, so it should be a pretty good show. I guess I'm actually a lot more hyped for Brooklyn than I am for SummerSlam. That's a bigger issue, but we still got Battleground on Sunday. We still don't know what's going on there. But do you feel the buzz yet? I know you're not a big NXT watching the show.
More than
you watch all the takeovers.
Yeah,
and shit.
yeah, absolutely. And
we were at Brooklyn last year.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, I think NXT goes through their peaks and valleys just like anything else. And honestly, the thing I'm seeing taken away from NXT over the past couple of years that you've seen is it's not even the male talent. Whereas a lot of people complain like, oh, there's no more Balor, no more Joe, no more
Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn.
Kevin Owens, and I'm fine with the current crop of guys they have, headed by Bobby Roode. I think Bobby Roode's great. I think he'll do wonderful headlining NXT TakeOver. I think where they're really hurting NXT is where the lack of the women. I mean,
They're in a rebuilding phase.
They absolutely. I can't speak much to what they're doing on the main roster, but in NXT, Sasha Banks, Bayley, Charlotte. I mean, they were amazing. They were, and I know they didn't compete at TakeOver last year, but I think that the fact that they don't have a Sasha Banks or Charlotte right now. Of course, Asuka's killing it.
Well, she's head over heels the most overstar.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
But I just don't think they have that really magnetic personality.
Not yet.
Because not yet. I mean, as much as Asuka tries, her mic work obviously isn't gonna win any fans over. It's really her in-ring stuff that gets the people tuning in to see her. So I think that the biggest staple they need in that card is some women, is some I mean, I'm not knocking anyone's in-ring performance, but I just think you see the difference. You see the difference from 2 years ago, a year ago, to where they are now. I mean, even Bayley versus Asuka last year, TakeOver, that was pretty good.
It was a great match. Yeah.
Year before, Sasha Banks Bayley is arguably my second favorite match of all time.
Agreed.
So, I mean, I think that's where NXT's hurting the most right now.
I would agree, absolutely. I mean, it's not bad. It's not as bad as like what the Divas used to be, but they don't have those same magnetic personalities they once did. I mean, they have Asuka. Ember Moon is getting better. Getting her kind of hindered her momentum a little bit. But you have Ember Moon. You have Ruby Riott, who's there. She's getting better. Nikki Cross is very, very good from Sanity. Well, I think it helps, too. They have the Mae Young Classic now, too, which airs in the network next month.
Yeah, and hopefully that will bring in some NXT girls.
I'm sure it will. There's a lot of good talent in there. They have Jade from TNA, if you remember her, Marty Bell, Santana Garrett, who won by Brittany in TNA a few years ago.
Isn't Tully Blanchard's daughter in there?
Yes. Tessa Blanchard, I'm shocked she's not signed yet.
Yeah.
And Rachel Ellering, Rachel Evers is her name.
Paul Ellering's
daughter, yeah. I'm shocked she's not signed yet either. Probably soon. But they're both great. They're all great. Maybe at some point. But Kairi Hojo, I think her name is Kyra Zane. She's a Japanese women's wrestler. She's fucking phenomenal from what I've heard. And she's in the tournament. I don't know. They've already taped all the matches. I don't like to be spoiled, so I don't know who wins. Most of the matches. The finals are live on the network in like September. So I think she might help out a lot once Asuka. Because once she gets called up, the division is far worse off.
Yeah.
And they have also Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, but they're not quite at that Charlotte Banks level. Yeah, exactly. Next question from a couple questions from Captain Sunshine from YouTube. Do you think we'll ever learn who Jason Jordan's biological mother is? Who knows? Maybe we'll get a call back to the time Kurt Angle stalked Booker T's wife in 2005, and this is all build up to the return of Sharmell. That was a meme, actually.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Kurt Angle talking to Charmel and Booker T. I did see that.
Yeah.
I doubt they'll go that route.
No, they won't.
There's no need.
It was just funny, yeah.
But we were talking last night about. I think we got it on
Jason Jordan
on tape. Jason Jordan.
It's at the end of this week's episode.
How he could definitely. I mean, given the right tools, he can definitely become like a main event player. In my opinion, I think they really need to invest in him. But I'm really excited to see what this run as Kurt Angle's son has for Jason Jordan.
Obviously, I have high hopes for him, so we'll see where they go. And as you said, he's a very talented athlete, and I think he's got the charisma too. So we'll see where he goes. They got high hopes for him as well. Better than what he was doing before, which was nothing on SmackDown, so it's a step in the right direction. Anyone else thought it was weird, going back to what you were saying earlier, John, that Enzo Amore cut a fired-up promo about how he's a fighter who never stops fighting on Raw. Then when Big Cass actually showed up, he ran away and jumped in the crowd to let someone fight his battle for him. He literally hid behind a child at one point.
Yep, I saw that.
But yeah, we talked about it. Yeah. It was very weird. I mean, again, the promos that Enzo was cutting after the split, the night of the split, the week after that, the week before Battleground, or Great Balls of Fire, I thought were great. And he wasn't on Raw the next night, but this week's promo, it was okay. But I thought it was also weird that he was like, hey, come fight me, and then he leaves, and then Big Show comes out to fight his battle for him. It's a little weird.
It's a very heel move.
Very contradictory, yeah. Very heel move.
Very, cowardly heel-esque move that I don't entirely agree with. I guess it's better than staying in the ring and getting the crap kicked out of you. But still, I mean...
Why would you say come and fight me and then
run? Yeah, no, I think they're trying to explore different avenues for Enzo Amore, explore different character, traits about him and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, sometimes black and white is okay. Like, they like to give all these characters shades of gray and stuff. Sometimes being a babyface and standing your ground, even when someone 2 feet taller comes to get you, sometimes, and getting the crap that sometimes it's the better move than of course, not everyone in life who considers himself to be a good person is going to stand and fight someone who they clearly are outmatched against, right? So that gives an element of realism to it, in the sense that I'm in no sense a fighter, and if someone who's going to kick my ass was coming down to kick my ass, probably wouldn't stick around too long.
Yeah.
But I think that for the talk that Enzo Amore has been talking, and then for him to do that, if he's been just totally avoiding the subject of Big Cass, and Big Cass comes out and he gets at it, that's one thing. But he's definitely been hyping up, F you, Big Cass, like, and then Big Cass comes out, oh, bye.
Bye, yeah. That was a little weird. I guess we'll see where they go with it. But, yeah, I wasn't a big fan of what they did on Monday with Enzo and Cass and Show. I thought the brawl, actually, between Cass and Show was actually really good.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the match because Big Show, shockingly, I mean, that sounds super weird, but because I've never been the biggest Big Show fan in the world, which is on record, but he's putting guys over. He put over Braun Strowman. Their matches were fucking great, shockingly. And I'm sure a Cass match won't be too far behind. Captain Sunshine's next question here. Is it weird that I wish Sami Zayn was back on Raw? He lost to Mike Kanellis after just 2 moves, a punch which Sami sold like he was wrestling Big Show for some reason, and a Samoan driver, a finisher so by the numbers that Dana Brooke uses it. 3 moves, if you want to count the world's weakest clubbing forearms by Mike as a move. So essentially, are you sad that Sami Zayn is not on Raw any longer, Joe?
I think I'm sad that Sami Zayn, who I considered at one point to be a future world champion, who maybe could still has that in the cards for, but I think he's just so underappreciated really on Raw and on SmackDown. I mean, the world was really clamoring for him to get over to SmackDown because they thought that's where he would be better off. But, I mean, he makes a valid point that is he better off? I mean, I'm sure he wouldn't be fighting Brock Lesnar if he was on Raw.
No.
So losing to Mike Kanellis isn't the worst thing in the world, but they're definitely not all in on Sami Zayn right now, and that's unfortunate. But
Yeah.
I don't know that I mean, I think he has a better shot on SmackDown. than
Oh,
on
easily.
Raw.
Easily, yeah.
But yeah, I think just the whole way they're treating Sami Zayn in general is unfortunate because I think he's so great. But like we talked about last night, I mean, not everyone can be that starting shortstop for the WWE. So, I mean, I'm sure Sami Zayn's not sad about it at all. I'm sure he's happy doing what he's doing, working with his friends. So that's fine for him. But I think from a character standpoint, it's really unfortunate what they've done with him since he's been called up. I mean,
Really, yeah, by and large.
when was the last time you gave Sami Zayn a shot to be WWE champion, Universal champion?
Really, about a year ago, after the feud with KO finished up. That was a
Probably-
year ago.
Probably when they should have capitalized.
They
on it.
should, but then he wasn't even on the main card for SummerSlam.
For SummerSlam, yeah.
And then it was all downhill from there. But yeah, no, I like the Kanellis feud. I think Kanellis is who they're focusing on right now, as they probably should. I'm not saying he's going to be a world champion, but at least they have something for him. There was a time where Sami Zayn wasn't even on the fucking show every single week.
Yeah.
I mean, at least now that he's on SmackDown, he had the Corbin feud, who he beat at Backlash, and he beat again after that. So, I mean, he's not doing horribly, and I think Zayn can get away with losing more than he wins, because that's the whole nature of his character.
Underdog.
Underdog, exactly. I'm not saying he should be losing to fucking Aiden English on the kickoff show. That would be a joke. But at least he's on the show. He'll be on the pay-per-view on Sunday. I think he will get his time. I think, in regards to, like you said, I think a lot of people have written him off. Like, he won't be world champion. On SmackDown, way better chance. If Jinder becomes champion, anyone can become champion. That's really what it comes down to. Next question. Charlotte and Becky was the best match of the show for me by far. Best match of the night was surprisingly the 2 out of 3 Falls match on 205 Live. Best thing all night was obviously the Fashion Files. But good lord, the post-match attack with Tamina falling on a super kick was dreadful. Do you know how bad you gotta be when you're paired with the bathing suit Lana and she's the worker? Tamina fucking sucks. I mean, how many times have I said this? Tamina is awful.
And she's the worker.
Lana's terrible. Tamina's even worse. The only reason she's there is because
Her heritage.
her heritage and The Rock loves her. That's it. Nia Jax, I'm sorry I ever compared you to Tamina. I know she's not that much better. We talked about it before. Tamina fucking sucks, though.
Tamina's just, I mean, she's so far gone.
She has nothing to offer.
so far gone.
So far gone. She debuted 7 years ago. Believe it or not. Why is she still here?
She's in Alicia Fox territory.
She's worse than Alicia Fox. Yeah, Alicia Fox has been here for a decade. I did a whole I did an article last week, people that are damaged goods. I have no idea why I did not put Tamina on that list. But she was never goods to begin with.
No,
That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, maybe that's good that I didn't put her on there, because she was never that great. She always sucked.
when she was the valet for the Usos, I mean,
When she first showed up.
that was terrible.
Then that was it. The buck stopped there.
Yeah, I mean, you and I were talking about last night how Tough Enough in 2015. This is by far. If I hated Tamina before, I really hated her after this.
Yeah.
When it was like one of the final shows, and They had Big Show come in for the male guys and give him some slaps
Beat
to the
shit out
chest.
of him,
Really work them over there in the corner. And then Tamina was delivering splashes from the top rope to the girls. I mean, Sarah Lee got up after taking her splash, laughing and giggling and shit. And I mean, I get that Tamina's probably trying to protect them. You don't want to injure these girls, but like, Tamina was like jumping from the top rope, landing on her knees, then her hands, and then her stomach, like really protecting them, just making the business look dumb. And like Sarah Lee, like at least I know a Big Show slap to the chest hurts, but at least if the guys, like let's say Big Show missed a little bit, didn't hit him 100% in the chest, at least the guys weren't laughing after, right? I don't think Big Show missed. But if he did, they weren't Sarah Lee got up giggling. Like that just goes to show how bad. Like, come on, Tamina.
Tamina's awful. Hashtag fire Tamina. Facebook questions now, so move into those. The first one here I think you'll like. From Violet D, your question was, what makes one year more beloved than another? What makes 2000 more popular than, say, 2015? What's so special about 97 over another year like 2007? I have my own thoughts and theories, but what separates a good year over a bad year, or even a quote-unquote mediocre year?
Yeah, wow, that's a great question.
And this is the type of stuff that we talk about.
And nothing is just cut and dry, right? So every bad year has a great match, and every great year has a terrible pay-per-view. So it's not as cut and dry as that. I think that you and I have briefly discussed this, but when I look back on years in WWE, because that's really, what you do, when you have like the work rate that these guys are at, you can't look at like, oh, look at this 2-year period, look at the, I mean, other than you gotta like, oh, look at this era, like Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression Era. But when you're looking back on years alone, the first thing I look at, number one thing I check out is how was that year's WrestleMania.
Easily.
If that like,
most of the big four, but specifically WrestleMania. Yeah.
So that can be deceiving though. But that's really the first thing I look at because that's the biggest show of the year, biggest card of the year. So if you want to look back on that year, what was their WrestleMania card? Like that could be deceiving because WrestleMania 27 was very bad. But I mean, the summer of 2011 was pretty good with CM Punk in the summer of Punk. I thought WrestleMania 28 was a top 4 WrestleMania, top 5 WrestleMania, and 2012 wasn't all that great. It was all right. Wasn't great. CM Punk did well. WrestleMania 29 was terrible, and 2013 was a terrible year. So sometimes, sometimes there's a correlation, but really it's not so cut and dry. But the first thing I like to look at is what that WrestleMania was like, and then I guess the next thing you can do is look at who was WWE champion in that year, because that's really who's your flag bearer for that year. So I think in a year like 2017, well, you ask WrestleMania 33, great year. Who's been the longest reigning WWE champion in 2017? Well, that would be Jinder Mahal. So, I mean, that's when you start to be like, well, and I'm not knocking Jinder Mahal's, championship reign. It hasn't been great, but it hasn't been terrible yet. But I think that if you look at the WrestleMania, who was WWE champion? And then I guess the third thing I would factor in is like, well, if you had a specific moment that connected with you as a fan, and then the nostalgia plays in, right? So a lot of guys who say 2000 was the greatest year in WWE, a lot of them were probably marking out when Rock beat Triple H for the WWE Championship at Backlash in 2000. Like, that was probably one of the greatest moments of their fandom.
Sure.
Whereas for me, like, I love the year 2015 because Seth Rollins broke Cena's nose, because Cena and Cesaro went 30 minutes on Raw, because Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker had that great brawl. And
WrestleMania 31.
WrestleMania 31 was great. Seth Rollins, who I love, was champ for most of the year, for the whole year, from WrestleMania to November, really. And then once he gets injured, you get the Sheamus stuff and Roman Reigns. So that's what really goes down the hill.
2015 ended on a whimper.
Yeah, but I'd say you look at the WrestleMania, you looked at who was the flag bearer of that year, and then you look at, well, what moments did you enjoy personally?
I agree. Yeah, I mean, she said that what makes a year more beloved than another, as you said, as opposed to what's one year better than another.
Okay.
So I think you answered both parts of the question.
Well, what makes... So I guess, is the product hot or not?
Yeah. Is better, yeah. Is the product hot? More beloved, what are your favorite memories from that year?
I mean, there are people who love Jinder Mahal, so 2017 is their favorite year.
Beloved, absolutely, exactly.
Because Jinder Mahal is WWE champion.
But, go ahead.
There's an objective, I would say, there's an objective way to analyze, is this year, I mean, you can get into financials, income, revenue sources,
ratings.
There's there's metrics that you can use to really gauge what year was better. I mean,
yeah, better is a very vague term.
I mean, but then again, that can also be deceiving. WrestleMania 29 was the highest grossing WrestleMania.
Exactly.
And like we said, terrible WrestleMania.
From a storyline standpoint, the product sucked.
Yeah, so it's not cut and dry whatsoever.
No, I completely agree. Yeah, and I think if you're speaking overall in terms of the IWC, of course they're going to love 97 over 2007 because 97 was the Attitude Era, and everyone loves the Attitude Era. And I say quote-unquote everybody, because I don't. But, yeah, no, I think that's what she means. But, yeah, there are definitely ways of measuring it in terms of what year was better than another. If we're talking financials and stuff. It's a very vague, subjective thing. Nick W. from Facebook as well. Predictions for Battleground.
Ooh.
So I'm going to pull up the card real quick, and I'll just list off the matches to you, John. Ty Dillinger and Aiden English in the kickoff show.
Give me Ty Dillinger.
Ty Dillinger, easily. Sami Zayn, Mike Kanellis rematch.
Sami Zayn.
I got Mike Kanellis, okay. AJ Owens, U.S. Championship.
AJ.
AJ as well. Shinsuke Nakamura, Baron Corbin.
Corbin's got the briefcase, so
That's their mindset.
yeah,
always.
they'll give Shinsuke the one.
Nakamura, yeah, keep him undefeated. 5-way women's elimination match to determine the number one contender to the title at SummerSlam. Charlotte, Becky, Natalya, Tamina, and Lana.
Charlotte.
I think Tamina's winning.
Really?
I know where we're going. I know we just literally went on that rant. This is who we think will win. Because they're doing the whole Lana, Tamina thing. I think they're setting up Tamina.
Really?
I want Charlotte to win.
That's bold.
I know.
You want to sell tickets with Naomi Tamina?
She's still around.
No, Charlotte. Charlotte.
I hope she wins. I don't know. I don't think she will.
What do you do with Charlotte if she doesn't win? What do you do with her at SummerSlam? Tag team
do
match?
another multi-woman match.
Yeah, right.
That's what I'm saying. That's all they book. Dude, we've had literally a multi-women match, WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, Backlash, Money in the Bank, and fucking this. It's like 5 pay-per-views. Stupid. John Cena Rusev flag match.
I guess Cena.
Dun, 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 dun. Cena wins LOL. The Usos, New Day, tag team titles.
New Day.
I'll say Usos. I want New Day to win it back or win the belts at SummerSlam.
Okay.
This is where they won it the first time.
In 2015?
2015, yeah. So I hope that's where they win it. But if they won on Sunday, it wouldn't be mad. Emma Hall, Orton, Punjabi Prison, WWE title.
Emma Hall.
Emma Hall, too. As he probably should win. If he loses, the experiment's over early.
Unless they do Orton AJ at SummerSlam.
I'd be fine with that. It would be a slap in the face to me as a fan. They completely wasted my time with Jinder as champion.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be swagger all over again when he was champion for like 6 months, or not even, like 2-3 months. Drop the belt, nowhere near the main event scene after that. What the fuck was the point then?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just feel like they wasted my time. His second question, what was your take on WWE getting rid of Talking Smack?
Oh, wow, yeah. So, if you want to start off on this question. Go.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I watched the show every week. When it first came out in July, it was like another hour of WWE TV. Like, fuck this. Like, I never watched the kickoff shows.
Yeah.
I don't care. I mean, I watched
The pre-shows, you mean?
Pre-shows. Watch the kickoff shows sometimes. Never watch the pre-shows. Because it's a lot of the same shit. It wasn't until the Miz promo where it cut on Daniel Bryan.
That's when Talking Smack came on my radar.
Same. And then people were telling me, you gotta watch Talking Smack, it's great, and I did, and Daniel Bryan was awesome on the show. The guy does not give 2 fucks. He's hilarious. Renee Young is amazing. Why she's not doing more in the company than what she is right now, I have no idea. One of the best they have. A lot of people got over on that show. The Usos are hilarious in that show. Kevin Owens was great. The Miz obviously got over in the show. That's really what kicked off his resurgence as a character. Baron Corbin, the list goes on and on and on. Carmella. So it sucks. I heard it was a variety of reasons, whether it was low viewership or Vince hated the unscripted nature of it. Whatever you want to believe. The fact is they canceled it as a weekly series. It's only having monthly shows now. They're having it on Sunday. Renee Young's hosting with fucking Jerry Lawler.
So they're doing it. They're doing Talking Smack post pay-per-view.
Yeah, like Raw Talk. But it's like
is Raw Talk only post pay-per-view?
Yeah,
I thought that was
as it should be.
Okay.
Because they already have 3 hours of Raw.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it sucks.
I like Talking Smack in the sense that it made SmackDown a little bit different. It was like I'd rather watch Talking Smack than 205 Live.
Yeah.
And I mean,
no wonder the viewership was down. It was after 205 Live, fucking like 11:15. Of course the viewership was down.
And so between 2 hours of SmackDown, 205 Live, and then Talking Smack, I mean, you're asking a viewer.
That's like 3.5 hours.
To dedicate 3 hours of their Tuesday night. I mean, that's a lot, but...
After 3 hours on Monday.
Move 205 Live to a Thursday.
Or just cancel it.
Or move it to before NXT, or after NXT.
That's what they should have done.
So you keep that NXT audience there for 205 Live.
Yeah, well, you should. Yeah, exactly.
'Cause
Are you
here's
saying tape at a full sale?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
here's the way I would see that happening. Because if you have people watching on USA Network, it's harder to get them to go turn on their whatever console or device they watch WWE Network on.
When
and
they do the throwaway matches on Raw, that's the thing.
Yeah, well,
like they have
that
fucking
too.
a minute match on Raw, and they're like, "Go watch the show." It's like if I'm gonna get more of this, then why would I watch your show?
I think if they had a captive audience, like they do get good viewership for NXT, I'm sure they get a decent viewership at least. And then they're already there, run 205 Live after or before NXT. I mean, I think that would be a lot. That way you don't have to go from television to network. I think that would be a better. But Talking Smack definitely should have remained. I thought it made SmackDown different.
It did. It did. I'm very mad that it got canceled. How is WWE, I don't know if this is a real question or what, how is WWE going to do a 24 special on Dolph Ziggler? The only thing I think you're talking about was when they made fun of Dolph Ziggler. Remember during the Miz feud, and he aired that thing on, he did like a tribute video for himself.
Dolph did?
Miz did for himself, and then did a 24 special, the rise and the fall of Dolph Ziggler.
Okay.
So maybe that's what you're talking about. Otherwise, I have no idea why they would make a 24
I haven't
special.
heard anything about that.
And that wasn't real if you're curious. I don't know. Anyway, Donche King, or Deshaun, I apologize if I mispronounce your name, K. His question was from Facebook, should the creative team have Asuka lose the belt to Ember Moon or the winner of the Mae Young Classic? People are saying the winner of the Mae Young Classic. I'm still on the Ember Moon train. I think what they've been doing with her is really good. They have Kairi Hojo, Kairi Zane, whatever her name is, who's amazing. Her and Asuka could have a fucking amazing match. But that's not until like November. And I think Asuka should lose the belt in Brooklyn to Ember Moon, who makes sense. Otherwise, why would you do another match?
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes to the main roster shortly after.
Asuka? How would you feel about Asuka pulling a Paige?
That's what people have said. To keep her undefeated, I'd be fine with that too.
I think that would be. I mean, if you're gonna have her lose to a Carmella or an Alexa, I don't know. I'd prefer the Mae Young Classic winner beating her.
Of the two, okay.
I mean, I'm not the biggest Ember Moon fan, but would that stunt her push at all if she lost to Asuka, or would she still be okay?
She'd be fine because she's still really good. But having her lose twice because she lost in Orlando too, that might do some damage.
Do some damage to her.
Yeah. So I would have her win, but that's just me.
Do you want to keep Asuka like Shinsuke?
What do you mean?
Has Shinsuke ever been pinned in WWE?
Yeah, I mean Joe beat him a few times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to keep her, special on the main roster? I guess.
I'd be fine if they had her
I'm
pull
not saying a
Paige.
loss would ruin her.
No, Asuka?
Yeah.
No, of course not.
But
I think if they brought her up undefeated, the only person that makes sense to beat her, if you really want to be realistic, is Charlotte. That's it. No one else in the roster makes sense. Because Asuka is head over heels, just more unstoppable. She's been undefeated for almost 2 years. That's unheard of in this company. So I hope it's Charlotte, but if it's not, Ember Moon would do. Mm-hmm. Or the winner of the Mae Young Classic, whoever that might be. Next question. Who would you book to take the Cruiserweight Championship from Neville?
Oh my God, Austin Aries.
Resign Austin Aries.
Yeah.
Jerry Gemini.
I don't know, honestly.
It should have been Austin Aries, but
I can't see anyone else. I mean, you get back to TJP.
Oh man, I thought you were gonna say
Cedric Alexander.
Yeah. I know he's been a lot colder recently because he's not as hot as he was when you called me up on the phone after the Kota Ibushi match. Like, dude, that was the fucking greatest match of the year. And I agree, it was an amazing match. But they haven't done jack shit with him on the main roster.
I mean, I'm all for keeping Neville special because Neville should have been the way he is now. Before,
From the get-go.
Yeah, before he was on in the cruiserweight division. But I guess Cedric Alexander would be a good fit to dethrone Neville. But the problem I have with the cruiserweight division is, and you're seeing this with guys like the Brian Kendrick and TJP, is that they're kind of creating not a glass ceiling but like a steel ceiling. Like there's like, all right, so Neville, after a how many month reign with the Cruiserweight Championship, loses to Cedric Alexander. Does he go to the back of the line?
That's what I mean. That's what happened with Austin Aries.
Is he promoted to the, a different division? Is he promoted to, like, heavyweights on Raw, where I think he could do great? I mean, there's kind of like a unbreakable ceiling here in the Cruiserweight division, which is really, I mean, I was hoping they would avoid this when they brought it back, but it's really where, they went wrong in the first place with having the Cruiserweight Championship, because once you win the Cruiserweight Championship, it's great to have the Cruiserweight division. It gives you a new outlet and a new type of wrestling to watch in WWE. But if you're a Cruiserweight, you're a Cruiserweight for life. Like, imagine this. I don't know if I've talked about this with you, but I think I might have talked about it with my cousin maybe. But imagine if the Cruiserweight division was around in 2013. Daniel Bryan sure as hell wouldn't be main eventing WrestleMania back then. I mean, like they brought back this mentality of like, all right, like if you're 205 pounds, you're great for the Cruiserweight division.
I think they make exceptions.
But Austin Aries should have been an exception. Neville should be an exception.
Well, here's the thing. We talked about it last night. It's on the show, Russell Rent Radio. Check it out, guys. Cheap plug. They do whatever's convenient for them. Finn Balor's 180 fucking pounds. For every, for what their Cruiserweight division is, for all intents and purposes, he should be in the Cruiserweight division.
Mm-hmm.
As should Kalisto, but they're not. Finn Balor should not be in the Cruiserweight division, but for all intents and purposes, he should be.
I just think it's scary to think about this. This mindset's dangerous because Daniel Bryan, he's maybe back. He got pretty big back in like 2012 when he was with Kane. Like he was a bigger dude, but look at like 2011 Daniel Bryan. Like
he'd be in the Cruiserweight.
He would have been relegated.
Sin Cara and Evan Bourne.
He never would have broken through.
No,
ever.
No.
So I think it's dangerous what they're doing. I think they really need to reroute. I think they need to fix their course because. I mean, I'm not saying everyone in the Cruiserweight division should challenge Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship, but you're really,
Well, I mean, look at WCW. Eddie Guerrero, Chris Jericho,
Exactly.
Benoit. Benoit won the world title like the fucking end. But you know what I'm saying?
They were seen as cruiserweights
in that company. Then they came in as stars in the WWE.
So they're kind of doing it to themselves what WCW was doing to themselves.
The only person that ever broke out and became more than the Cruiserweight division was in WWE.
In WWE's Cruiserweight division?
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio?
Rey Mysterio.
Okay.
That's it. Won the main event of WrestleMania, or one of the main events. Not the main event, but won the world championship at WrestleMania, and that was it. Probably the only Cruiserweight in WWE that ever won a world championship. Or even came close. I can't think of anybody.
Under 205 pounds?
Well, anyone who was in the Cruiserweight division. Yeah, like Jamie Noble.
By the time he won the World Heavyweight Championship, there was a Cruiserweight Championship, but there wasn't really a Cruiserweight division. I mean, Hornswoggle won it.
It was a fucking joke at that point.
Hornswoggle won the title in 07. So, I mean...
It's always been a mistake.
They have a concrete Cruiserweight division now. I think in 2006, Rey Mysterio was just a luchador who went for the title. I mean, he wasn't only wrestling Cruiserweights.
No, he was in the beginning, though.
And in 2002?
No, actually, no. When he became part of the Cruiserweights later on in, like, 03.
Okay. Well,
it wasn't
like
as exclusive as
Hardy
it was.
at WrestleMania.
And Chavo and shit like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And we all know how the circumstances of him winning the world title came about. I mean, if Eddie doesn't pass, he probably never becomes...
Yeah, but he wasn't wrestling just Cruiserweights even before that happened. Like, he was facing, like, JBL.
Edge.
Yeah, he was facing Edge and Eddie Guerrero, who in WWE were not Cruiserweights.
Yeah.
So, but point being, Rey Mysterio, the only ever guy to break
break through.
So, it is definitely painting you, making the fans condition and look at you in a certain light.
Yeah.
And see that you're not going to get above a certain level.
And I wouldn't want that, honestly. I mean, the Young Bucks would be cruiserweights in WWE.
They really would be. They would be. They would be the Bollywood Boys.
Yeah.
Well, they were going to be before they just died or whatever. Before they became Jinder Mahal's lackeys, which they're doing a lot better now.
Yeah.
Escaping the 205 Live division was the best thing that ever happened to the Bollywood Boys.
Yeah.
Look where they are now. Next question. Should WWE have Baron Corbin cash in the briefcase at Battleground?
I think it should be held. Late.
Yeah, no.
Late.
Yeah.
Dean Ambrose cashed in the same night last year. Kind of hold it until later.
Yeah, it was Dean Ambrose. Oh, it was Dean Ambrose. Baron Corbin isn't ready yet.
No.
Yeah.
I think it should definitely be on the right person who cashes it on, like a John Cena or AJ Styles type of cash, and not cashing on Jinder Mahal.
Nah, that'd be dumb. Yeah, or even Orton or whatever. I mean, having Orton win, then having Corbin cash in, then what happens to Mahal is the push point. Let's like I talked about before.
Hold on to it.
Hold on to it until at least late 2017.
I would say that. Yeah.
At least late 2017. It'd be cool, and I said this before, if they have him hold it until next year's Money to Bank. They've never done that before. I'm like, you have to cash in tonight, otherwise it's invalid or whatever.
That would be interesting.
That'd be pretty cool.
They did the WrestleMania cash in, which had never been done.
This is might be the last thing they have yet to do.
364 days.
So we'll see. Jeremy B. from Facebook. Who do you see having a better singles career, Chad Gable or Jason Jordan?
I honestly see more star potential in Jason Jordan. I really do. I think that he is. I think that he can. I'm not speaking ill of Chad Gable right now, but I mean together I thought they were great. I don't know if I would have even split them up honestly, but I think Jason Jordan now as Kurt Angle's son has a little bit more going for him than Chad Gable does. I mean, it looks like they're going to push Chad Gable into the ranks of like the AJ Styles, Kevin Owens over on SmackDown. But I think Jason Jordan, if done correctly, not if he's worked correctly, he can do great stuff in the main event scene on Raw, but not now. I mean, main event scene on Raw, that's Lesnar's area.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want anyone.
Well, mid-card, I think him and we talk about all the time, who's going to be next for Miz beyond Dean Ambrose? I think Jason Jordan could be a good competitor for him. Miz and Kalisto, who cares?
Miz could do great promos about how Jason Jordan only got the opportunity because he's Kurt Angle's son, things like that. Like imagine
some Kurt and Miz promos, maybe.
That could be fun, but I definitely think that Jason Jordan needs to break through. I think that he could definitely be a main event player.
I think he can too. I think between the two, Gable will have a better career.
I think
Jason Jordan, before Gable joined up with him in NXT, was very, very bland. Just very boring, in my opinion.
If given the right stuff, though.
Yeah, I mean, Gable really brought the best out of him. And I think, like you said, it was too early to break them up. Just me. While you were saying that, I was thinking of this. Tell me if this is an accurate comparison or not. Is this not the World's Greatest Tag Team 2.0? World's Greatest Tag Team had a better run, and they had better matches because they were on TV more on SmackDown. But they broke up a year after they formed because they were high on Benjamin, who they moved to Raw. Jason Jordan, a year after they arrived in the main roster, moved to Raw.
Yeah.
The black thing is irrelevant. I mean,
that's very
yeah,
similar.
so, I mean, that's just what I thought when you were talking about that. But I think I'll go with Chad Gable. I think he is the next Kurt Angle. I'm not saying he is Kurt Angle. I think they have a lot in common there in terms of, like, comedic timing. And in the ring, the guy's tremendous. And he's only really getting started. Mm-hmm. That's the scary thing. But Jason Jordan's great, too. So, hey, you know what? Best of both worlds. If you and I can see a WrestleMania main event between Chad Gable and Jason Jordan down the road,
I would absolutely buy a ticket to see that.
Hashtag book it. Speaking of which, his next question. Do you think Jordan will win the Intercontinental title from The Miz in the coming months and Chad Gable wins the United States title from AJ Styles in the coming months?
That would be awesome to see. Right?
That'd be pretty cool.
Especially because Chad Gable and AJ Styles have wrestled on SmackDown.
And a great match.
Chad
Very
Gable
fun
had
match.
a great showing.
He did.
I think Jason Jordan versus The Miz could be very good. I just think Jason Jordan to lose the tie-dye singlet. That's all I need.
Agree.
Go for an American singlet like Daddy or just a white or black singlet or something.
Reminds me of Ryback wearing the tie-dye singlet.
Yeah. Or even Jason
or
Jordan's physique is good enough to just
or
wear
trunks.
tights.
Yeah, or tights or whatever, yeah.
He's no Kevin Owens.
Nah, he'd be fine. He was going more for the wrestler look.
Yeah.
To match with Chad Gable. But now that it's over, you got to separate yourself from that phase of your career.
Some trunks, some kick pads, you could do good.
Agreed. I think him and Miz, is a perfect opponent for him right now and vice versa. Gable AJ is perfect. I told you before, AJ Nakamura should not be for the U.S. title. It should be for the WWE title.
Yeah.
At WrestleMania.
WrestleMania 34.
So, AJ should be champion for a while, but Gable beating AJ after AJ really put him over.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about just in the match, but like after
yeah.
kickoff show, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, he's like real good competitor, never faced anyone like Chad Gable before, which to me leaves the door open for a rematch down the road. Next couple questions from Mark S., also from Facebook. Which bout would you be more interested in seeing for the SmackDown Women's match at Battleground? We already had the match at Battleground, but I don't know if he's talking about SummerSlam, but which match would you be more interested in seeing? Charlotte versus Naomi or a triple threat between Naomi, Tamina, and Charlotte?
Nothing with Tamina. God.
Charlotte, Tamina, or Charlotte, Naomi. That's a clown question.
I don't even know where this Tamina talk is coming from right now. I feel so bad because she's probably a great woman. Dude, I can't even fathom the idea of watching SmackDown and having Tamina cut promos. Oh my God, having Tamina work? Just no.
No, she sucks.
Keep her in her leather jacket on the side. I'm not a fan of her. I'm really not.
You're not alone. We got about 10-15 minutes left, so we're going to do some speed round questions here for the final few questions. This one is also from Mark S. Would you be interested in seeing an Authors of Pain versus Sanity Falls Count Anywhere match and take over Brooklyn for the NXT Tag Team titles, or could it be a mess?
It looks like they could definitely go that route.
It's just two heel tag teams, so I mean,
Sanity and Authors of Pain are both they're not like, an American Alpha where they're going to put on a great wrestling match.
Yeah.
They can put on a destructive showing, though. I think that or any other kind of stip match would be great. I really like the Authors of Pain.
I like the Authors of Pain a lot more than I like Sanity. I think that's a good role for them. I just don't think they're the best pairing together.
Okay.
Like, I get two destructive forces, but I just don't care about seeing the match.
And the whole heel team versus heel team dynamics is a little weird. Last year at Brooklyn, we got DIY versus
Revival.
That was
It's the best match of the night. And how you gonna follow that up with Authors of Pain versus fucking Sanity?
yeah. That's tough.
That's
to do.
tough, yeah. Next question: should Asuka stay in NXT, or if she moved to the main roster, which brand would you put her on?
I would put her on Raw.
Would you?
Put her on Raw, yeah.
I would put her on SmackDown.
You
I think
would?
Raw. I think Raw has enough star power.
Raw has 4 women. 4 women.
They have more women. They're just not using
They
them.
have 4 every week. It's the same tag team match.
Well, assuming she comes back, and I don't think she will, but they have Paige, and they also have Emma and Mickey James,
All
who
right.
they could be doing a lot more with.
Emma, Mickey James, boo. Like no.
But I like them a lot. They're just not doing anything.
They're not doing it. I mean,
That's why you don't care, because they're not on TV.
At least Tamina's getting a chance. At least her name's being spoken on SmackDown.
Yeah, but they're just doing all the women in the same match every week.
But Raw is
Neither is better than the other.
It's based around Bailey.
But at least we're getting
Sasha.
singles matches, though.
It's the same thing.
I hate the
every
multi-women
week.
shit. It's the same thing with SmackDown, too, which is in a different way.
I don't even know what the remedy is. Like, do you do like 3 women's matches a card just so that everyone gets a different thing?
Hey, that happened. SmackDown was doing that at one point.
But you don't have the talent, I think.
Not now. I mean, you're not doing. I don't want to see Tamina in any prominent
I
role
couldn't
ever.
care less if Nia Jax faced anyone for the rest of her career. I really couldn't care less. And I'm not
You
even...
can at least do 2 different stories, though.
Yeah, I mean, they don't all have to be in one, especially come, like, SummerSlam. Like, they're probably going to do, like, a Fatal 4-Way
Again.
for the Women's Championship.
Literally the same WrestleMania match. Just take out Charlotte and put in Alexa Bliss.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad. So, anyway, yeah, I'd put Asuka. I'd put her on the main roster.
I'd go to Raw.
I would say SmackDown.
All right.
Who do you feel is the most underutilized female talent in the women's division at the moment between NXT, SmackDown, and Raw?
I guess Emma.
I was gonna say Emma too.
Emma, yeah. I mean, I don't even know if I'm an Emma fan or not because I didn't watch her in NXT
Yep.
when apparently she was lighting it up.
She was
down
great.
there.
Yeah, she wasn't able to do the heel stuff on the main roster before she got hurt last
I
year.
think she's had an hour of TV time on the main roster, and the 3 years she's been up. I think she's had like an hour of TV time. Like the reason I don't know whether I'm a fan of hers because I don't remember seeing her ever. Like
Yeah.
I know she stole an iPad case from Walmart.
Wow, that's the only thing you remember of Emma. That's not a good sign.
That's it.
That got more coverage from WWE.com than anything else she's done in the past
I
3
have
years.
no idea if she's good or not. So I guess
Wow.
she's underutilized because I don't know. I know Tamina sucks.
That's all we know.
I don't know if Emma
There's 3
sucks.
certainties in life: taxes, death, and Tamina sucks.
Yeah.
At Scarlet One, do you know the lyrics to Billy Gunn's theme song, Mr. Ass?
No,
that's the Billy and Chuck one.
I don't know.
He wasn't even in that tag team. Oh wait, was he?
Billy Gunn?
Billy Gunn. No, Billy Gunn and Chuck. Yeah, it was Billy Gunn.
I
Yeah.
have no idea.
The I'm an ass man. The lyrics are pretty fucked up. Okay, I'll say that much. Okay. Shit, my ride's almost here. We'll do quickly through these next couple questions. At RJ_Marceau, shout out to RJ. Have either of you listened to the Barstool podcast from Top of the Rope? They have a weekly show with guests like Kevin Owens and Cody.
Yeah, we talked about that last night a little bit. I listened to episode 0, which was their kind of their pilot episode, and I wasn't a huge fan of it only because I think that the podcast industry for professional wrestling is so cornered and narrowed by like the guys who are actually in the industry. When we talk about the Ross Reports, the Stone Cold podcast, Eric Bischoff on Wrestling, Talk is Jericho. So I think that the podcast industry for professional wrestling is really kind of owned by the people who are in the business, whereas these guys at Barstool, I mean, they're not really giving unique takes or really anything noteworthy. I mean, it's really kind of stuff that everyone agrees upon that's going on that show. So it's not. I mean, I didn't listen to the interviews. I only listened to episode 0, so I might be totally going the wrong direction with this. But I think that they're just 2 guys. It's like Jared Carabas and I forget who else is on it. But I think they're just 2 guys who have very, uneducated opinions. Not because they're not educated wrestling fans, but it's just because it's what everyone's saying. It's like,
a topic on the rundown will be like, is Samoa Joe a good wrestler? And like, yeah, I really like Samoa. Like that's the kind of stuff they're going for. Nothing groundbreaking.
I haven't heard it yet. RG's been trying to turn me on to it. When I have the time, I'll check out one of the episodes. His second question seems small, but to a logical fan, it seems idiotic. They booked 2 Indian wrestlers completely different. Mustafa Ali, who's a babyface, is from Chicago, while Jinder is billed from Iran. This plays right into the GSM boomikism Indian aspect. What are your thoughts?
Jinder's actually booked from Punjab, India.
Is he?
He's not booked from Iran.
Okay. But still, what we were talking about last night, about the fact they're 2 Indian wrestlers, like, boo me because I'm different, and Mustafa Ali, like, cheer me because I'm different. Yeah. Mustafa Ali is the route they should be going in. Jinder Mahal is exactly what RJ said. He knows my thoughts on this. The fact that, my skin color is dark, so boo me. Like, that, I hate that.
It's so outdated.
It is. It's, like, so fucking 84.
And we said it because, it's Iron Sheik, but
yeah.
They're doing it because they know it will get heat. They know it's a very lazy idea.
That's exactly
They know it will get heat, so they do it. But
very lazy.
It's very, like, 1984, like you said.
Stop living in the past, man. Try to touch. At E13A, did you hear that Shane McMahon recently survived the helicopter crash?
Yes, everyone heard that.
How could you not hear that? I saw your tweet. I'm like, what the fuck? And I saw it on Twitter. I'm like, oh, there you go.
And as Bischoff said on his live podcast yesterday, it wasn't a crash. It was a forced landing, which is different.
Emergency landing.
Emergency landing, which is different. You know,
it is.
They weren't plummeting towards Earth. They had
it wasn't like up in flames or anything.
They had to land the helicopter in the water. Shane, got out. He's fine. Good on Shane. If you can fall off the Titantron at SummerSlam 03, you could do anything. So.
That's Shane. The guy's immortal. Have you ever seen the Talking Smack episode where Daniel Bryan said AJ Styles was a flat earther? Have you seen that?
I did not.
It's fucking great. Like I said, Talking Smack's hilarious. I have seen that. It's amazing. I think AJ Styles legitimately thinks the Earth is flat.
Does he really?
I don't think that was a rib. I think Bryan brought that up because he knew that AJ thought the Earth was flat in real life.
Really?
I think so.
That would be really. AJ
Styles.
I love AJ Styles. I'd be really disappointed if you literally just look at a picture of Earth from space, but whatever.
That's like if you were pulling for Clinton and you found out that AJ was a Trump supporter or something.
That's
but way worse.
That's
like legitimately dumb.
That's not even like what do you believe? That's just like, oh, you don't believe in the truth. Like,
exactly.
Okay,
you just it's just stupid. Has John ever seen Southpaw Regional Wrestling?
I tried to watch a little bit of it when they first came out, and I mean, I wasn't a big fan of it. I thought it was cool that they were trying something different, but whatever. I'm not whatever.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. I thought Gallows and Anderson came out better there than they ever have on Raw.
Yeah.
Which goes to show when they don't have any creative, when they have their own creative input. How do you feel about the Fashion Files?
I actually don't like them at all. I don't watch them at all. I don't watch them on SmackDown.
Wow.
I mean, I got nothing against Fandango or Tyler Breeze. I wish all the best for them, but I don't. I fast forward to the Fashion Files. I think I enjoy like the low key humor in that, like when they go in on like the bulletin board and they have like a picture of Dusty Rhodes and the polka dots and it says like fashion icon and they're like, I enjoy like those little things, but I don't think that they're that funny with like their water guns or anything like that.
No, that was a little dumb, but I do enjoy Fashion Files though. They are pretty entertaining. Final few questions. Final one here from at E13. Have you heard Ryback's comments claim that women's wrestlers should play up their sexiness?
And we talked about this last night too. This was not on the Restaurant Radio, I believe.
No, we didn't talk about it last night.
So I think that once again Ryback's comments were taken a little bit out of context. So first and foremost, I want to say I did not listen to the whole thing.
Neither did I.
So I listened to about a minute of it because I saw that Charlotte Flair liked it, and so I listened to about a minute of it. And so I didn't hear the whole thing, so I might be totally out of touch here. I might totally be like going off the deep end. But I think what he said, he's not very well spoken. He's been known to have his foot in his mouth more than once.
Yep.
But I agree with him in the sense that, yes, women can and should climb ladders. But I think that he's right in the sense that women have this element to them that men do not. And that's that they're beautiful. And they have, this...
It's part of their appeal,
This attractiveness that men will never have. And I think that in terms of using storytelling elements and when you're trying to tell a story and having a woman use her, sexuality as a way to progress the story or to keep the story entertaining, I'm all in favor of it for that. Should every woman just come in like I'm a white meat babyface, I'm here to compete, like I'm here to kick ass, like I think that gets boring. Not every guy does that. Like every guy has a different character. So if you want to have a women character who's a little more scandalous than other characters, that's fine. I don't think it should be egregious. I don't think they should have lesbian on lesbian action.
like whatever that was.
HLA, yeah.
Yeah, hot lesbian action. I don't think it should be like that whatsoever. But do I think that if like a story, like a Trish Stratus, perfect example, who was a great in-ring competitor, and then she always used her sexuality to get her noticed, and it was great. Like the guys wanted to be the guys wanted to be with her, but then when she was in the ring, she made all the guys scared of her because she was really good in the ring. Mm-hmm. So. Would I like to see more of a Trish Stratus in today's WWE? Sure. Could I ever see Sasha Banks backstage flirting with the male competitor? No, I couldn't. And I'm not knocking her for that. But I remember there was like a Raw talk or something like that. Me and my cousin Brian talked about
Sasha?
this.
Her and Rich Swann?
Yeah, where they were like, oh, like you guys should go out for a drink.
Like, no.
She goes, no, I'm married or something like that.
Yeah.
Which it's like, no, like you're married. Sasha Banks isn't married.
No,
You're like. Why?
I bring that up.
Why do you have to bring you're playing a character?
There was a time in WWE where they never wanted to bring up their relationships to seem available, and that's what got them over.
Yeah.
I mean, part of the reason why they were over. Yeah.
But I thought that was so dumb.
That was really weird. Yeah.
I really didn't like. That didn't get over me whatsoever. Like I'm actually married. Like okay, cool.
That's
like,
never been brought up in storylines.
Like no, like you're Sasha Banks. I don't even know what her real name is. So, but you're not.
I don't know your husband.
Yeah,
I don't know, who cares?
Sasha Banks is not married. She's single.
Yeah, exactly.
And you don't even have to go on a date with Rich Swann.
No.
You're on TV. Just say, yeah, I'll go on a date with Rich Swann. That's not even showing your tits. That's just
exactly.
saying. That's just use a little bit of a little bit of fun. So not everyone's just like I'm here to compete. I'm a woman who's gonna that's fine. And like every now and then, it should be the best of both worlds.
Exactly.
Lita was hot and she was great in the ring.
You could still be like, I mean, this is gonna be a bad example, I'm sure. Eva Marie sucked in the ring, but for the month that she was on TV last year, she was over because she was hot. People hated her because she wasn't wrestling. It's a perfect example. That you play to people's strengths, and that was her strength. And you put the Ryback here, the Ryback, like Daniel Bryan calls him. That he didn't say bring back bras and panties matches. I think he was taking a bit out of context. Yeah. Don't want to defend what he's saying, you said.
Not at all.
I think the way that you put it was best. I'm going to switch these two questions. I want to end with this first one, so I'll go with this second one real quick. At Big Bird 432, with it being a year into the brand split 2.0, how well do you think it's been handled so
I think it's
far?
been done as well as it can be. I think there's some
room for improvement too.
There's some adjustments that they can make, but for the most part, they've done a very good job with it. Now, keep in mind when they first did the brand split, the first year was great, and then it progressively got worse. So I don't think that you're going to really be analyzing the first year of it. You should be analyzing the fifth year of it. See
the
how
same guy's in charge,
so
we need a real change at the top for things to be different.
I mentioned it yesterday. I think that they should totally stop referencing the other show altogether. Make it feel like a real competition because it's not really at that.
Yeah, it's the little things that give it more of a competitive feel.
You don't need run-ins. Like, oh, that's a Raw guy here on SmackDown. You don't need that every week. But, kind of handle it the way, you handle TNA. Like, on Raw, you don't mention TNA. On Raw, you don't mention SmackDown.
Exactly.
I mean, I get they're trying to get the viewership up because it is all one company. But, I think on their own merits, they can both survive and both do well.
They're fine, yeah. They have their base. They don't need to be building off one another. Final question from Sean Markistic. What's the best wrestling event you've ever attended, John?
Oh, my. See, this is a tough question because in terms of enjoying myself as a fan, now, obviously, I would go straight to something like SummerSlam, 2015 or 2016.
Okay.
But I will say, not for the big names or the big production value or the big, match, the big match card. Honestly, just because of who we met, where we were sitting, and the autographs that we got, and then, of course, the main event. I would say the NEW show back in 2014.
Oh, the Kurt Angle one.
Kurt Angle was there. AJ Styles wrestled Matt Sydal, and who else was in that main event?
That was a great main event. Styles, Sydal, and Taven.
And Matt Taven. That main event was amazing. Now, obviously, it's not SummerSlam 2016 where I saw Styles Cena, where that was arguably the greatest event I ever... Oh, I'm totally forgetting. So it would be a toss-up between that NEW show, because I had a lot of fun there, or NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, too.
Okay. Both are very... Yeah. It's different. You said best, but you didn't say favorite, so it's a little different. Best show. What's the best show that was, critically acclaimed?
I guess NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, too.
Yeah, exactly. So it's hard to say. It's kind of the same thing with me, too.
What would yours be?
Again, it's hard to say, because best show would be NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, either one or two.
I think 2 was better than 1.
I thought 2 was better than 1, too. A lot of people said, overall, I think 2 was better. I know it didn't have Bayley and Banks, but I thought 2 was better overall.
I mean, it also had Blue Pants and Simon Gotch.
Yeah, it had the fucking vaudevillains and Blake and Murphy.
Yeah, I mean...
nowadays, no one would care about that. It's 2 years. It's crazy to think how much has changed in 2 years. But
they did have Joe's debut at the first one versus
Baron Corbin was a good match.
Jushin Thunder Liger versus Tyler Breeze.
It was an amazing show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not knocking the first
but
one.
the show that we went to,
I think the second one was a little bit better.
It's stronger matches, yeah, and the crowd is amazing
Yeah.
too. Favorite wrestling show, again, best is probably TakeOver. Favorite would be WrestleMania 33.
Oh, how could you not say that?
It's easily WrestleMania 33, but best, like, oh my god, critically acclaimed? No, TakeOver, yeah. But like you said, NEW show, I would probably put that up there. That's on my list. It's probably my top 5.
That was a great show.
All the NEW shows are great. That was probably the best NEW show that we ever went to. That and the November one the following year.
With Bret Hart.
Yep, and Jeff Hardy and the Hardy Boys.
Jeff Hardy wrestled.
He didn't wrestle. It was Matt Hardy and Rey Mysterio.
Matt Hardy and Rey Mysterio, I remember.
Jeff was hurt.
I did a school project on that.
Did you?
Yeah. With all the pictures that I took.
Shit. Yes. I forgot about that. Good times. We'll be back there eventually.
Yep.
That being said, guys, we're about to sign off. Thanks for checking out the show. As always, John, such a pleasure having you on.
Of course.
Before we ride off into the sunset, where can the people find you once
You
again?
guys can find me on Twitter @_John Knapp, @_John Knapp.
Sounds good. Hopefully it's not another 6 months before we have you on, John.
Hopefully not. Hopefully
And,
sooner rather than later.
Hopefully, fingers crossed, maybe the next month or so, I'll hang out with you soon.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, in between time, John, have a great one.
You too, Graham.
For John Knapp, I'm Graham G.S. Matthews. We'll catch your ass down the road. Bow.